All right, a very good morning and welcome to this edition of TV47 Breakfast. It is the 18th day of July, 2026. My name is Fred Ndimuli and nilikuwa najaribu kuangalia it's exactly 129 days to Christmas. Sababu tulisema everyone should be looking forward to something.
Yes.
So if you have nothing to look forward to, please look forward to Christmas.
Right.
129 days. If you're looking forward to something else, the general elections, it's exactly 357 days to go.
At least there's something to look forward to. Umesema jina?
Hey, unataka nirudie?
Rudia
Jina langu ni Fred Ndimuli.
My name is Annie Odida. So good to have you with us this morning. It's a World Breast Cancer Research Day today. Research, not International Breast Cancer Day, because that is being marked every year on the October 19th. But today, it's research about issues that has to do with breast cancer. There is a Kenya Health Summit, which is beginning today, the KICC, and it will run through to August 19. So that will end tomorrow. And it will bring together government, health sector stakeholders and other actors to discuss the future and direction of the country's health sector. So that's, now you're on the know with TV47 Breakfast.
Yes, of course. I hope we'll watch Mezesha. Na kuambia hiyo ndo naita ile ni ile mwecheche. Yesterday was a first episode of Mezesha. You can tune in today as well at 7:30 inaendelea.
And if you didn't
Kenyan
watch
style
it,
telenovela.
au sio. If they didn't watch it, sai unajua kuna TV47 kwa simu.
Vibe 47.
Yes.
Yeah. I hope you downloaded Vibe 47. You can access everything, including Radio 47, TV47,
TV47 digital.
Everything on your mobile phone.
Right.
Download it from App Store or Play Store and enjoy.
All right, so a lot to talk about today, a very packed show, politics.
Definitely politics.
Tech.
Now we have a new party. There's a new party. Yes, People's Party of Kenya.
Yes.
Mulikuwa mnafikiria, you know, the registrar of political parties alisema there are 90 parties are so far registered na hizo zimecomply, and there are about 34 others that are still awaiting proper registration. So meongeza People's Party, but I am told that had already been registered kitambo.
So imekuwa?
Imekuwa, lakini hata ule mwenye ali-announce alisema nimeingia People's Party. Si ati tumefungua party mpya. Alisema now I have joined.
Kama party leader.
Aliingia party na akapewa party leader.
Wow.
Akaambiwa anaweza ongoza.
God of NN.
Party ilikuwa pale na haina party leader.
Ilikuwa tu fua.
So jamaa akapata party na akapewa party leader immediately like that. We're talking about Ndindi Nyoro, none other than the Kiharu Member of Parliament. We'll be talking more about that later. And of course there's a lot of outrage about what happened in
Homa Bay.
In Homa Bay. Alafu mbona watu walisikia uchungu sana vile waliambiwa ati huko ni Yemen.
Wanalia?
Wow. So many people are issuing statements. Miguna is issuing statements from Canada, or where is it that he hides? Yeah. Everyone is talking and defending incompetence. Yeah. Leadership has existed forever in Homa Bay. Usikuje kutuambia ati there have been MPs. Yes. Yoni, kwanza hiyo barabara ni Suba wapi? Suba North.
Karoli Omondi.
Ni Karoli Omondi. There's an MP right now. Me, I'm not ati bembelezing anyone. Hata mwenye alikuwa hapo before yeye alikuwa nani?
Alikuwa nani?
Ule ako treasury sasa, alikuwa MP wa wapi?
Badi, ule wa soda.
Wote. You've been leaders there. Mkisikia tu Yemen, no, marginalization will not existed in Kenya. Please, no excuses. Go fix what you need to fix as a leader.
Right. Miguna ni Homa Bay.
Nani?
Miguna.
Lakini si ana issue anasema we should atunajua devolution has only been there for 16 years. It's not enough to build roads. Unataka 100 years of devolution.
Huku kwetu TV47 watu Homa Bay pia wapumui. Same way pia mtapumua.
If your leader is telling you to wait for more time for you to get roads, na kuna devolution, na kuna CDFs, kuna nini? Pole kwako.
Mnachezwa.
Pole kwako. Yes.
All right. So let's see how the weather's looking like this morning. In Nairobi this morning it's drizzling, but let's see across the country how that's looking like. All right, weather in Homa Bay, it's a mostly cloudy day today, 19 degrees this morning, highs of 29 degrees. Light rains expected in Kiambu County this morning, 15 degrees, highs of 21 degrees in Kiambu County today. Light rains in Kisii, 17 degrees this morning, highs of 27 degrees. That's as far as Homa Bay, Kiambu and Kisii counties are concerned. Laikipia, it's a partly sunny day, 15 degrees this morning, highs of 26 degrees. A mostly sunny day in Kiambu. 22 degrees this morning, highs of 28 degrees. And Nairobi, yes, it's raining this morning, 16 degrees and highs of 21 degrees today. That's the state of the weather.
All right, let's get some Tuesday morning inspiration with the quote of the day.
You have the power to rewrite your story at any point. You are not defined by your past mistakes or failures, but by your ability to rise, to try again, and to keep moving forward with purpose.
Yeah, we've been talking about Yemen for a while, but we should focus more on Kenya. Like the Standard has done. God save Kenya. Yes, this country needs to be saved. And they have images of these three gentlemen here. The person in charge of Interior, that's a Cabinet Secretary, Kipchumba Murkomen, the Principal Secretary in that ministry, Raymond Omolo, and the person in charge of the Police Service, that's Inspector General Douglas Kanja. These are the three gentlemen who are charged with Kenya's security. They failed spectacularly over the weekend. Yeah, spectacularly. All three collectively. Wakiweko kwa mahali hivi wanaitwa tu failure. Yes. Because even the PS came out and said, oh, I assure you. Yes. I'd rather had not even spoken. He came out and said, I assure you there will be no violence in Homa Bay. Ile violence aliona. Clearly his word doesn't count for anything. PS Dr. Raymond Omolo, I am sorry. Watu ni kama wakusikizi. Ama wakutambui.
Failure.
Failure. So whatever President Ruto sees in these three gentlemen, the men charged with the country's security, from Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen, his PS Raymond Omolo, to the IG of Police Douglas Kanja, it continues to baffle many. This is according to the Standard. Under their watch, the country appears to be sliding into a troubling culture of lawlessness, with political violence increasingly threatening the right to assemble and campaign peacefully. Now, hours before the Linda Mwananchi rally in Homa Bay, warning signs were unmistakable. Reckless statements by politicians raised the specter of violence, while goons were reportedly mobilized in broad daylight. Now, what followed was a trail of destruction. We all watched it. Bloodshed because people died. Yes. Death. Raising serious questions about whether the state can protect citizens from politically instigated violence. You know, the state is supposed to protect, one, human life, two, property. So, kuna watu walikufa, there's property that was destroyed. What do you call that in English? Failure. And that on the front page, ladies and gentlemen, is a failure that happened this past weekend. Yes. So road to general election, that is the only story featured on the front page, and they've really concentrated, dedicating acres and acres of space, 4 pages, 3, 4, 5, 6, and page 1 to this story. So they asked the question, how much longer will the country remain on the edge before the president takes decisive action? This is a question many people are asking. Okay, how important are these three gentlemen?
Well, they should be very important.
How come they're still there, yet they cannot do it? They cannot do the job. Kwani hii kazi ni ya
Pastime.
Ni entitlement. To be honest, if you are a teacher and you fail to teach, what do we call you?
Failure.
You're a teacher. You're a failure. You shouldn't be in class. All right. Journalists horror. Journalists were also victims of the violence in Homa Bay. Journalists horror, we thought we were going to die. That's a very chilling account of that. Yes. The other headline, state silent on political violence and it casts a shadow over road to 2027. Security failure, they ask on page 4, interior chiefs on the spot over Homa Bay chaos. Linda Mwananchi rally exposes Homa Bay's bad road crisis. Watu watai kuitwa ati kwao ni Yemen. Alafu kuna swali hapa on page 6 of the Standard. Why is Kaluma free? Please tell me if you have an answer to that question. Why is Kaluma, hata nitasema jina complete, why is Peter Kaluma free? Why is he still free? Police face double standards questions. Yeah. Kwingine wanashika watu haraka sana, and we commend them for that, because we cannot encourage reckless talk anywhere in this country.
Yeah.
But what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. It should happen across board. Another very interesting story, and this will be away from the politics and political violence. On page 2 of the Standard, back to work too soon, MPs push for 6 months maternity leave. Yeah, members of parliament are now seeking a review of maternity leave in Kenya, arguing that the existing framework may not adequately protect mothers and children or promote equitable leave entitlements. So nominated MP Dorothy Muthoni led MPs in seeking statement from the National Assembly Labour Committee on harmonizing and strengthening maternity leave for female employees. 6 months.
I support with everything.
Unaenda ukirudi ushasahau kazi inafanywa aje. Hata ujui.
Hiyo inamaanisha ni failure.
Hapana, you're not a failure because you've succeeded.
Umesahau aje kazi. No, 6 months is actually good.
This is something commendable if they actually get to do it. For at least the 13th parliament wafanye kitu moja. Ya maana.
Yes, nicho
moja
nayo.
Unajua wanamaliza next year. All right, turn the back page. Yes, the great Arsenal lifting the Community Shield. Manchester City make dismal start to life after Pep Guardiola. Wakona this was a good one, and that's the back page of the Standard.
All right, tangalia gazeti la Taifa Leo. Kila mhuni alipata shilingi 1400 Homa Bay. Goons walipata 4,000 Kenyan shillings in Homa Bay. Oh, nimesema 1400 ama 1000?
Nani atatoa hiyo
4,000?
Kidogo utafanya watu wengine waende wakue goons.
Wakue goons. Well, we do not encourage Goonism in this station. Vurugu zilizotokea Homa Bay Jumapili wakati wa mikutano ya kundi la Linda Mwananchi huenda zilipangwa siku kadhaa kabla, huku wanasiasa wakidaiwa kuwahamasisha vijana na kuunda mtandao wa kuratibu uvamizi. Duru kutoka kwa polisi na mahojiano na baadhi ya vijana waliohusika zilifichua kuwa mkutano wa kwanza ulifanyika Agosti tarehe 2 nyumbani kwa mwanasiasa mashuhuri. Nyumbani wapi? Kwa mwanasiasa mashuhuri.
Mashuhuri, mbona anaitwa mashuhuri?
Yes.
Umaarufu wake
ni gani?
Kunatokana na nini? Kulipa watu?
Kulipa goons.
Ama alikuwa ni vile tu ana pesa. Okay, ni mashuhuri kama ana hizo pesa. If he procure the services of about 1,000 goons maybe for 4,000 each, that's 400,000. Hiyo ndio umaarufu wake, na umemuita ni mashuhuri.
Mashuhuri. Sasa vijana hao walidaiwa kuagizwa kuzuia James Orengo, Edwin Sifuna na Babu Owino kufanya kikao county humo, lakini the Standard walikuwa nasema nini jana? Triumphant.
Yes.
It was a triumphant entry in Homa Bay on Sunday. Vidokeza zaidi, masala ya Ebola. Waamerika 7 watoka karantini Laikipia. Waliachiliwa baada ya kukamilisha siku 21 za uangalizi katika kituo hicho.
Kwa hivyo hawana Ebola.
Hawana Ebola, hawakuwa nayo.
Bado hatuna.
Bado hatuna. Wakazi Pwani watakiwa kujiandalia El Nino. Wito kaunti sita za Pwani kuweka mikakati imara kukabiliana na mafuriko yajayo. Walimu wapinga agizo la TSC kuhusu mitandao. Tulizungumzia habari hii jana. Wanalalamika kuwa mwajiri wao anaingilia maisha yao ya kibinafsi.
Hata hiyo mimi nakataa surely. Hapana. Anyway, TSC hapo ni kama they had come a bit too much.
Kwa nini unakataa?
Surely it's your private life, the way you engage people on social media. Unless you're misrepresenting your employer, why should he or she bother?
Right.
Yeah.
Nakubaliana na wewe. Kule juu zaidi, Gachagua wasilisha rufaa kotini. Anapinga uamuzi wa koti kuhusu kutimuliwa na seneti. Na masuala ya spoti pia, kocha mpya wa Man City ana kibarua. City ilipigwa 3-4 na Arsenal mnamo Jumapili.
3-0.
Yes. 3-0. Na hiyo kila mhuni alipata 4,000. Sio 400,000. Taifa Leo.
Right, from Taifa Leo, let's take a look at the Daily Nation, focusing on the same story. What happened in Homa Bay, how Homa Bay chaos was plotted, just as you said. Sources say a politician hosted a meeting to plan the attacks, days to Sunday's events. Police know all this, but no politician has been arrested so far. Yeah. Failure. Another meeting was held on the eve of the rallies with goons paid 4,000. We've talked about that. Now, at least 2 people, including a police officer, were killed and scores injured. Local police say 22 suspects were arrested following the violence. And there they have a photo of a car that, which is just one of the vehicles that was torched during the Linda Mwananchi rally in Homa Bay town. So lives were lost, property was destroyed. And the people charged with protecting life and property are sitting pretty and smiling, like proper failures.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's move on to a different story. Gachagua claims court altered impeachment judgment. The former DP has challenged High Court decision upholding his 2024 impeachment by the Senate. Among his key grounds at the Court of Appeal is a claim that the lower court modified the final written judgment. Yani kuna ile ilikuja, ikasomwa na judge, na ikaisha. You know, he had been awarded 50 million shillings.
Yes.
And then Nikamati, they rewrote the judgment again. That's what he claims according to his appeal. Millions in, nothing out. Farmers' losses amid maize crisis. That's a story on page 12. This time they're predicting that we won't get enough rain.
Enough rain?
El Nino will come, but the harvest will not be as bountiful as expected. Yeah. That story on page 14 about TSC. Let's just take a look at that. Yes. TSC, social media gag splits opinion. Do you think teachers should not be allowed to be on social media? Yeah, teachers say individual breaches of code of conduct should be investigated rather than addressed through broad directives. Yeah, there's a directive by the Teacher Service Commission warning teachers against unprofessional conduct on social media. What exactly is unprofessional conduct on social media? Is dancing on social media unprofessional conduct? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Educators say the body should regulate professional conduct, not control their personal lives. We do agree with that. Any other? 7 U.S. workers leave Laikipia. We've talked about that. Extradition of 3 Kenyans to face fraud charges in U.S. halted. And nursing students plead for end to strike. They're saying they're... You know, we forgot that there was a strike in the health sector. When we moved on, people are going to hospitals and not receiving treatment. Yeah. And we moved on. Sisi zile vitu tunazungumzia ni mambo tofauti sana. You also talked about cancer research. Yeah. And I'm looking inside pages. I'm not seeing any discussion around cancer. Yeah. Back page matters volleyball. Volleyball gem Akinyi dreams big. We're talking about volleyball on the back page. This paper talked about Community Shield yesterday. Ingine tulisahau ni WAFCON. Yeah, Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament. Kumbe Cameroon walishinda. They beat Morocco. Hata nani alikuwa anajua. Cameroon's triumph at the WAFCON Women's African is one of the most remarkable stories of this tournament. You can read more on this. Yes, Cameroon are the eventual winners. Once Kenya exited, and we also exited. Yes. Tukangojea Community Shield. That's the Daily Nation.
Community Shield ya nani tena?
Ya Arsenal, team kubwa.
Good job. People Daily. Why Goonism is greatest threat to Ruto's re-election bid. Poll violence, they call it, and this series on page 4. Use of force to silence dissenters expose a hypocritical gap between executive rhetoric and political reality. That is the main story on the front page. Other quick headlines here. 1 country, 2 laws. Reaction to Kaluma remarks raises questions over selective enforcement of incitement laws. Yes, same question. Frida ameuliza. Is it that important? Ama mnamuogopa?
Why is he still free?
Yes.
Hawa ndio wanaogopa Kaluma. Hawa 3. Ukiwaona hapa. Wanaona wakimuona.
Wanainama.
Wanainuka. Wanatoka mbio, wanatoroka.
There's a song that says that's, well, tutaikumbuka, tutaimba kesho asubuhi. Early baby care or income inside the heartbreaking choice facing Kenyan mothers. That's another story on page 6, and that's the People Daily.
All right, from the People Daily, take a look at the Star. Remember, today is Tuesday, it's not for sale. The Star steers clear of anything that is on the other front pages. It talks about power reaching 1.6 million people. Our state lights up forgotten villages. The Star every Tuesday has been just chronicling some of the successes or some of the projects that this government has been engaging in. So this is one of them. Remote communities finally part of country's development story. And they talk the numbers, new power connections per region. Nyanza over 300,000, Rift Valley a similar number, Coast close to 200,000, Eastern 250,000, Central 190,000, Nairobi 111,000, Western 102,000, and Northeastern 58,000. And as far as connecting people to the electricity grid. That's the main story. You can read more on this on pages 4 and 5 of the Star. Judge orders 45-acre estate shared equally among 19 beneficiaries. That's another story from the courts on page 3. Kwa hivyo wanapigana kuhusu 45 acres alafu mnaambiwa yagawaneni watu 19. Kila mtu anapata 2 point something. 2.2 acres. Sio mbaya, 2.2 sio mbaya. Yes. Pale juu, divide and win inside President Ruto's plot to split opposition ahead of 2027 election. There's some people who are reading mischief in that announcement by Ndindi Nyoro that ameingia People's Party. PPK, yes. Wanasema probably it's part of the plan to split. But mimi sijui ni watu wengine rumors, sio ni rumors by the way. Let's not stick to rumors. Wachana kabisa. I withdraw and apologize. Yes. I'm looking for another interesting story. US unlocks 77.6 billion shillings for Gavi as Kenya faces funding transition costs. And you know Gavi is important for hizi vaccine nyingi za watoto na zinginezo. So that's a good story. All right. And that's a Star. Fresh, independent, different. Today being a Tuesday, it is free and it comes with a complimentary MyGov pull-out for government tenders and job opportunities. Grab yourself a copy of the Star today for free. Fresh, independent, different.
Right. Business Daily, inside 10 firms holding 60% of state tenders. Moi XA, Joshua Kulei linked to largest deal and top contractors grab projects worth 131.6 billion Kenyan shillings. That's the main story on the front page of the Business Daily. Treasury seeks funds to reinstate fuel subsidy in U-turn. Now, John Badi said that Kenya is seeking additional funding to lower fuel prices without being specific about whether the state is targeting a loan or a new budget. Okay. On the ticker, NSSF seeks to build CT on Mavoko land, that is the National Social Security Fund. It has revived plans to develop its 1,000-acre land in Mavoko into a mixed-use CT, and that's the Business Daily.
All right. From Business Daily, let's now cross over to the regional papers, and we start off with in Uganda, where, as you had mentioned, something to do with cancer research. That's the main story on the front page of the Daily Monitor. Now, what this paper has done is mapped cancer by region in Uganda, the disease burden. A study by Uganda Cancer Institute has found that certain cancers are more prevalent in given sub-regions based on 1, lifestyle, 2, feeding, 3, altitude. The higher you go, the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. But altitude also matters, and gender, although there were some unique variations. So they're given numbers from West Nile, Karamoja, Teso, Rwenzori, Bugisu, Busoga, Central Buganda, Nkole, and Kigezi. And in total, the number of cases reported in 2022 in Uganda were 35,968. So when it comes to cancer research, they've given it prominence. Uganda. Nyinyi mukiongea kuhusu tu nani? Failure. Another paper in Uganda, that's a New Vision. The government holds special land titles. Minister wants officials, experts express mixed reactions. Mambo ya title deed ni kama imekwama. Over 600 Ugandans are stuck in South Africa. This is a New Vision now. It's a pale bottom strip. Na kuna serial border killers. They've been jailed for 150 years. It's there on the front page.
150.
150 years.
Yes, wanamwambia tu enda kama umeenda.
Hiyo aende tu. Yeye pia ni failure. That's as far as Uganda is concerned. Let's take a look at the Citizen in Tanzania now. The front page of the Citizen, they talk about a government plan to cut costs for poultry farmers. Remember they were saying that because of the weather, cold weather, that production of eggs has been cut by half. So government has a new plan to cut costs for poultry farmers. The government unveiled a major poultry transformation plan targeting lower feed costs, increased local production, stronger farmer participation, and a more competitive industry capable of driving economic growth. Umewaiona story ya kuku kwa gazeti ya Kenya front page?
Labda the Star. Fresh, independent and different.
Kuna hadithi ya kuku kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Tanzania, that's a Citizen. Tukienda kwa gazeti la Mwananchi, masuala ya siasa yamepewa kipaumbele. Mnyukano Lissu, jamhuri wa moto. Mahakama kuamua kama Lissu ana kesi ya kujibu ama la. Jamhuri ikifunga ushahidi, Lissu adai fidia, asisitiza hana kesi ya kujibu. Jamhuri yajibu hoja. Ile kesi ya treason inayomkabili kiongozi wa chama cha Chadema bado inaendelea. Na Jamhuri ya Tanzania wamemaliza ushahidi wao. Sasa wanataka kujua kama koti itasema ana kesi la kujibu au la. Habari kuu pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Mwananchi. So those are the dailies, both local and regional. And we've seen the focus. Health matters given prominence in Uganda. Poultry matters given prominence in Tanzania.
Yeah.
In Kenya, we give prominence to failure. Yes. Let's take a look at the cartoons now, and we start off with the one on the People Daily. It has a picture, a caricature of someone na Sura Tinginya. Sindio? Sura Tinginya. Amekalia ile ballot box ya 2027. Ameshika panga na rungu na anavuta bangi. Siniuliza nilijuaje ni bangi. Anavuta tu kitu pale. Anaitwa Goons for Hire. Sana ulizwa pale na Mama Mboga, there's a positive job for you. I want you to attack corruption, poverty and unemployment. Kuna kazi. If you are a proper goon, why can't you go and attack corruption?
Yeah, if you're a proper goon.
Una attack watu kama wamama na watoto. Bure kabisa, failure.
It's the same angle that has been captured in the Standard. This is Hari. Right. These are institutions that are built to defeat corruption, rather. Oh, this is about corruption. So corruption is here. Kama huyu sasa ni misuli tinginya. Watu wenye misuli tinginya?
Ni kama hiyo. Ni sura ama ni misuli ndio tinginya?
Hiyo whatever. Misuli tinginya, right. So anauliza any questions while judiciary, legislature, public institutions, executive, everyone has buried their heads on the ground from 1963 up until 2026. Corruption.
So the judiciary,
Kenya.
Our pia ni failure.
Yes.
The executive, public institutions, legislature, judiciary, wote.
Failures.
Failure. Cartoon on the Daily Nation. Unajua ile watering can ile ya kumwagilia maji. Wanamwagilia maji. Politicians are watering the snake of Goonism. And you know, you water, utavuna ulichopanda.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because politicians are behind most of the goons. Sasa, the goon has been caricatured there as a snake that's being watered by politicians. Itafika mahali that snake will turn against politicians themselves. Yes.
Tawauma.
That's a Daily Nation.
Finally, the one on the Star talks about Vision 2060. Enyewe fresh, independent and different. Beyond 2030, 2026 ahead. Mambo ya 2027 tumewacha, tunaenda 2060. That's the Star.
All right. Just before we take a break and introduce the other segments of the show, let's take a quick look at how the roads in Nairobi are this morning. Thika Road not looking so bad today. Bits of traffic at Kahawa Sukari, a bit of traffic at Githurai, but nothing to worry about. It's building up at the Kasarani interchange, also building up after Garden City Mall. After that, I think the Utalii Drift up Mathare Mental Hospital. It's much fairer today. There's just some traffic once you get back on Thika Road, but that means also Kiambu Road, they're having a very nice traffic morning as it is right now. There's a bit of traffic as you exit from Thika Superhighway onto Outer Ring Road. There's a bit of traffic just before you get to Babadogo. Just there must be an incident there. So if you can avoid that stretch, please do. Further down on the same road, Outer Ring Road, before you get to Manyanja also, I think ni wale wanajaribu kuingia pale waende town. The other side of Outer Ring Road, further Tasia, building up slowly. Let's take a look at the Eastern Bypass and kama kawaida pale Utawala, there's a bit of traffic as people cross to the other side towards the airport. Yes, ile pale KQ headquarters, there's a lot of traffic on that roundabout. That roundabout is a problem. Tasijui inakuanga hapo kwa nini. After that, it's smooth all the way to Mombasa Road. Mombasa Road itself is looking green all the way from the airport into the CBD. Nothing to worry about there. Let's take a look at Jogoo Road. Jogoo Road today, at Pale Makadara, not much traffic. At a City Stadium, no traffic at all. Mudhurwa, Machakos, nothing, but it's building up once you get into Haile Selassie Avenue, Pale Marikiti, areas around Railways Bus Station. Just some traffic as you get into town from that direction. The other side of town, the western side, nothing to worry about. Ngong Road, Langata Road, Southern Bypass, and Wayakiwe, all looking good towards the CBD. And that's a traffic situation this morning in and around the city. All right, so after the break, we'll be having Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui, Joe Mutambo, who's a former MP Mwingi Central, and Brian Weke, a political commentator who was in Homa Bay. He's part of the Linda Mwananchi team for State of the Nation. Hao ndio wanaume watakuwa studio after the break. Do stand by for that.
Right.
Later on, you'll be having Victor Bwire on media freedom. Victor Bwire is the Director of Media Training and Development at the Media Council of Kenya. We discuss Goonism and journalist attacks because, yes, we are also fearing for our safety. Because, okay, what do we do as journalists when we have to work? And the people who are supposed to protect us are epic failures. Yes. After that, we'll be discussing AI in class with Dr. Tony Divine. He is the Vice President, Education, Global Peace Foundation International. Do stand by for all this and interact with us on our social media pages, TV47 Digital on X, TV47 Kenya on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube, where we're streaming live. And you can also access us on Vibe 47.
Right.
Right on your phone, just like that. Yes.
Use the hashtag.
TV47 Breakfast, hashtag Story Yetu.
See you after the break.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Ikikunyuma.
Oh my God. He left me.
Nitumie ni live. Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? Hi-Fi?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tamulini kero make a beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Booyah! We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
TV47.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Booyah! We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
You You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona, kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Nipatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo time. Mzee ni budi nikamchoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona, kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Nipatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo time. Mzee ni budi nikamchoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning. You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need just to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Ikikunyuma.
Oh my God. You left me.
Nitumie ni line.
Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? Hi-fi?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my...
Leaders allied to the Linda Mwananchi movement have strongly condemned the incident and accused the government of failing to provide them with adequate security during the motorcade. The leaders have also accused Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga and Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma of allegedly plotting to silence them. During the tour, motorcades belonging to the Linda Mwananchi team were attacked and damaged by goons who had blocked the road with stones. 2 people have been confirmed dead. More than 40 people were reportedly injured following the violence.
Our primary reports have ascertained that 18 people received treatment for injuries sustained during the attacks. As we entered Homa Bay Town, 12 were evacuated and transferred to Kisumu for critical emergency treatment.
I think it is a record everywhere we have gone as the Linda Mwananchi across the country. There has been peace, except when there's interference by the Kenya Kwanza government.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen and Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo have also come under strong criticism from opposition leaders who are calling for their immediate resignation over alleged failure to protect citizens.
Incident in Mulot that affected my 2 vehicles, to the stoning incident in Nakuru Town West that affected DCP leaders, and then Salga, and then yesterday in Homa Bay.
We can only tell you, we will come again, and we will come again in a big way.
They also made sure that there was no intervention whatsoever from the police. So it was a state-sponsored attack on us.
Some leaders are calling for the arrest of those allegedly behind the planning and instigation of the violence, including Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma.
Yesterday, many Kenyans lost their lives. Properties were damaged in Homa Bay County. And these properties were damaged, particularly a hotel, when one of the politicians from Homa Bay is on record on live TV.
You can kill people using guns and thugs, but you can never kill the spirit of a nation that has decided to bring changes in this country.
We're asking politicians to keep away our media, to make sure that they control their supporters, not to come in any way to injure, to maim, or to even destroy property belonging to the media.
They are also calling on the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, to hold all those responsible accountable and for tough legal action to be taken to restore peace as the country prepares for the 2027 general election.
Yes, indeed, that remains the biggest story. What happened in Homa Bay at the weekend and why there was such failure from those tasked with protecting life and property. On the stand at the front page, the headline is simply God Save Kenya, with the images of CS Murkomen, Raymond Omolo there, the PS and police IG on the front page. These are the gentlemen tasked and paid by taxpayers to actually do the job of protecting life and property in Kenya. They did not. Kila mhuni alipata shilingi 4,000 ni habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa gazeti la Taifa Leo. How Homa Bay chaos was plotted is a Daily Nation. Why Goonism is greatest threat to Ruto's re-election bid. That's a different, very interesting angle on the front page of the People Daily. This is a big discussion and we'll be looking at that with my panelists. So far, we have Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui with us this morning. Good morning, karibu sana Wakili.
Good morning, thank you very much.
Yes, and before we even get to the real crux of the matter, because we'll be talking about what happened in Homa Bay, you've been trending over the last 24 hours, or at least on X, and there was some information that probably you are not free. Kindly clarify to us what exactly the status is.
It's incredible. Mm-hmm. The freedom of expression does not extend to defaming other people. I was not arrested. I have never in my lifetime bribed a single judicial officer. And if anyone has any evidence, let them, I'll pay for the newspaper advertisement. I will pay for the publication, a full page, if you have a single incident I've ever bribed a judge or a magistrate. So here is this one person who's a politician called Macarena. And he goes to his Twitter account, X account, alleges that I have been arrested by the EACC, takes an old clip of the arrest of a former judge known as Justice Mutava on a complaint by Honorable Raphael Tuju on his EADB case. And the EACC arrested whoever was involved in that incident. You know, I think it's about 2 months ago. So he takes that clip and then alleges that I was involved in the arrest in alleged bribery of a judge for 24.5 million, and that allegedly I had been arrested by the EACC. So I call this fella and I ask him, excuse me, when did you see me get arrested? And why would you use a clip of a former judge being arrested to then transpose that to me and allege that it is me? And he said, go to court. Very arrogant. And then he switches his story and he says, oh, that's not my account. I do a search and a verification. And I send to him, this is your account. Look at your Facebook. This is your account. And so he goes silent. And so I issue a demand to him, and he doesn't even respond. Mm-hmm. The EACC then issues a public statement that is in the public domain. And then people just go out there and spread misinformation. Because someone wants to tarnish your name. For what? To what end? For what purpose? Mm-hmm. I was never arrested. I have not been arrested. I have not been involved in any bribery of any judicial officer. And that is not something I would even contemplate. But to tarnish my name, to what end? So that I do not then stand on my 2 feet as a legal practitioner. This is someone whom I've told that I'm going to take you to court. And I'm sorry, you haven't even issued an apology. And beyond that, I'm going to have your Twitter account closed because this sort of thing should be stopped. And I'm going to have the cybercrime unit just follow you because it's a criminal offense under the Misuse of Computer and Cybercrime Act. This is wrong and totally offensive. I was not arrested. I was not involved in any act of corruption or bribery.
Okay. Thank you so much for that clarity. And thank you for being here this morning.
Yes. I think this is testament to the fact that I have been arrested.
All right. So back to the main discussion this morning. It's about the growing trend of Goonism, of the use of goons in political contests. The fact that it has gotten to where it has so far, at least two people have been confirmed to have died in the Homa Bay case. Property was destroyed, quite a number of vehicles. Some hotels were also destroyed. Some politicians are accused of making insightful comments, yet they still remain free. And you've been here, you've witnessed and observed quite a number of elections, even as a legal practitioner, or even in the new dispensation since 2010. And this issue of having militia used by politicians is not something new. Yet the cases were very few, and you could point out a few politicians who were culprits. This time around, it would appear that any aspirant or candidate finds the necessity to have a small militia to accompany them. What kind of risk do we run with this trend?
Thank you very much. I do not think it's every candidate. I think these are mostly government-oriented politicians. And you can see the people who are responsible, at least in the Standard newspaper. If a police officer can get killed, as in Homa Bay, and what happened there was like a shocker. How do you place barricades? How do you place stones on the road? How do you block people from accessing places all over? If I were Ruto and his brigade, I would say, go ahead, sell your idea. Sell whatever it is. And he's out there telling people that, the opposition are brainless. They are brain dead. They have no ideas. They have nothing to say. He's only fueling the anti-government sentiments in the people who the opposition wants to reach to sell them the whatever idea that they have. So if I were him, I would just, in they who follow, for instance, Honorable Gladys Wanga, go do 3 meetings. If you feel that this one meeting has actually, turned the tables against you in the political sense, go do your 3 meetings after that. Go house to house. Go purge, as it were, the sentiments of the opposition in your residence. It's a free world. Let's not forget that we are a democratic state by constitutional edict. So this is not something that you can wake up and say that, we will have a dictatorship. We're going to have a technocracy, like, Ruto is being railroaded into doing by his foreign benefactors and masters. So the previous elections, we never saw this degree of violence, except, of course, the 2007 period, which you can see the harbinger, the sort of scenario that we are creating is funneling and leading to that eventually, if we're not very careful. Now, the persons responsible are not doing their job. But this is because they are in bed with the Goonism and the goons, they themselves. When you compare, for instance, the 2017 election, when there was a boycott in some areas by the Raila-led faction at that period, after the second turn of elections, there was a time that, everybody felt that, look, this is too much. You can't go to the election period with this sort of scenario. And there were fears that the election could be cancelled, but it wasn't. So in one sense, I think this is leading to the scenario where I think the president wants to reap the harvest of chaos so that then the IEBC can declare, and they have pronounced this on several occasions, directly and obliquely, that we may not have the elections in 2027 if the scenario erupts into violence. So he may be leading to that, because probably the statistics that are on the table for him and neither favorable nor encouraging to him when he sees, for instance, the rise in the popularity of the slogan of one term. But the fair and square win in a democratic state of they who are on the ballot is something that is to be desired because of legitimacy. Because even if he were to win in that scenario, the lack of legitimacy would confront him and accost him along the way. Look at Ivory Coast, for instance. When BAMBA was barred last year from contesting, what happened? There was apathy. There was voter apathy. And so we have Alassane Ouattara right now, who is viewed and seen as the puppet of France. And there have been rumors going around that he may be actually providing the springboard for France to attack the West African nations that are anti-France. So the lack of legitimacy, precipitated by this in the long run, even if he were to win, would be something that, for me, I would question largely. So Goonism is not a solution to the political disfavor that his regime has encountered.
And even as we continue this conversation, allow me to welcome onto set Joe Mutambu. Joe Mutambu is a former MP Mwingi Central. Karibu sana, Bwana Mutambu, onto the set as we continue with this discussion. And as he makes his way here, the People Daily on the front page makes a very interesting analysis of this, and they say why Goonism is greatest threat to Ruto's re-election bid. You talked about the possibility that these acts of Goonism could benefit some people politically, but according to this, they say it could actually be a threat to President William Ruto's re-election. Do you see this as something valid? Is it worth a discussion?
And that's what I've said. That's what I've said.
Okay.
I don't think that his political advisors are able to see, probably, I don't know, because you see, in my view, even within the historical continuum and the context, you go back to the biblical context and the historical, aside from the biblical, of Nebuchadnezzar, you have to have someone who engages in the spiritual realm for your leadership, for legitimacy. And you see, in the biblical context of King Nebuchadnezzar, he needed to have prophets and seers and wise men, the Chaldeans, and so on and so forth. People who would get out of the natural and be able to tap into the spiritual, the supernatural. Now, for him, I do not know who advises him, both A, on the political front, and B, in the supernatural, spiritual realm. Because if he were to tap in the spiritual, supernatural realm, then he would see that a lot of Kenyans at the spiritual realm are disaffected. And that disaffection is simmering and totally unexpressed. So for him, if his political advisor is telling him that this is the way to go, the way to crush your opponents, don't give them an opportunity to express themselves, then he is, as it were, again, sowing those seeds that he will have to reap of disaffection. Because if you're blocking people from then the freedom of expression in the political realm, then what are you doing? People are seeing that, oh, so you want me to attend your meetings where you don't want anybody hindered or blocked, but when I want to exercise my freedom, then listen. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are accepting or acceding to that other political front's ideas, ideologies, or whatever it is. You just want to listen. You just want to see what is on the table. So for him, he is, as it were, decimating the numbers that are out there. And then he's portraying himself as intolerant and totally undemocratic. That, unfortunately, will work to his disadvantage.
Right. Bwana Mutambu, this issue of Goonism and whether or not it will affect the politicians, we'll wait to see. But it's a reluctance by the people charged with protecting life and property that's even more baffling. The Standard has identified the three people on the front page: CS Kipchumba Murkomen, PS for the same ministry, Raymond Omolo, and the police IG. Because the PS came out a day or two before this meeting in Homa Bay and gave an assurance that there will be no violence in Homa Bay. Then again, we saw what we saw. Does it mean that his words count for nothing?
Good morning, Edie, and my good friend Kenya Joy.
Good morning.
I was in the villages, so I drove from Mwingi to here.
Oh.
So you can imagine.
Karibu sana, and thank you for making it.
And it's quite unfortunate that we are discussing what I would call Kenyans' lives. Because when your security is threatened, when there is no peace, when you are attacked, we are talking about your life. And it's quite unfortunate. But my big question I would ask in a different manner. Why? Question would be why? And who are organizing these so-called goons? And what should police do? The answer is very simple. And I'm lucky, or we are lucky to have a lawyer who will tell you, a police officer will not arrest anybody walking, running, moving around before they commit a crime. So if there are a group of people either walking or going to a rally, and in the midst they turn to be goons, and you can only be arrested after you have committed crime, at that moment there's nothing police can do, because their role is to protect those people, goon or no goon. You become a goon when you act. But when you are walking freely, you are not a goon. When you are moving, you are interacting with the people, you are mingling, you are not a goon. Until you make a certain move, which will convince the police that you are against the law. So the police will not arrest you because somebody is calling you a goon somewhere. But the most unfortunate thing is that the people who are driving this agenda are actually leaders of this country. Leaders from both divide. We cannot say it's the government. We cannot say it's the opposition. I can tell you without fear of any contradiction, this is driven by the politicians themselves across the board, which is quite unfortunate. And when you organize goons, what are you intending? Or what is your intention? What do you want to do to your opponent or to the supporters of your opponent? And this may lead to chaos, because that is how I would say civil war starts. It starts with a spark, all right? I Hincha or I hurt Kinyojoy. He may be defenseless at that point, but his brother, who is bigger and has bigger chest than him, he will come calling and he will defend him. My cousin, who has a bigger chest than, and I think you understand what I mean when I talk of chest, okay? He will come calling. So they will start, oh, this is Mukaba who is fighting Kikuyu. It will start like that and move on. Mind you, when you hear a leader telling his people that then they will find or will know that you voted for a particular person, will come to your house and pick you. What are you doing to the people of this country? What are you saying? Because I cannot understand you. I cannot hear you. I hear you, but I don't understand you. What are you saying when you tell people, the moment we will find out that you voted for this person, it doesn't matter who, we will come for you. That person has their right to vote, there's their right to associate as per Article 4 of our Constitution. They have their fundamental rights of doing whatever they want to do. So the problem here
that police are a bit reluctant to act on such people because like in this case, there was a politician who is on record asking these people to do certain things, even attack establishments that may have hosted certain guests within Homa Bay. Does it disturb you that the police are yet to act up until now on this politician?
I will not go to the police 100%, because Kenyajui will tell you we have institutions which have been put in place by our own constitution to act on such instances. And like I've told you, the police comes in only when you commit a crime. Okay. We have an institution which checks what Kenyajui is saying, what Mutambo is saying, what remarks did you make. We have that institution.
Right.
All right? So as much as we want, it is more fashionable to blame the police, because everything happens in this country. We run to the police without necessarily, no, let me make my point, without necessarily asking ourselves, what nature of this crime?
Has a crime been committed?
Yes. And who is responsible?
Yes.
Because I may speak today and call upon Kambas to go against some certain people. What does that mean?
Okay. And when we come back, Wakili will be breaking it down to us. So where does it stop being simple political rhetoric and it crosses into the realm of criminality? Yes, that after the break. You're watching TV47 Breakfast.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Ooh, yeah! We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair.
All right, welcome back. You're still watching TV47 Breakfast, and we continue just trying to examine and understand what exactly is happening with our security agencies, the seeming reluctance to act on acts of Goonism and obvious criminality. And it's that issue that I want Wakili to explain to us. When does it become a crime? Because we saw what happened with the MP for Mukurweini, John Kagushia. He said something in vernacular that was termed as a threat to some people because of their political rights, and said that if you do this, we will do this. Something similar was said by MP Peter Kaluma, also in vernacular, in Homa Bay, about what we're talking about. And he's yet to be arrested even now. And we wonder, okay, so what does qualify as crime, and when do we now turn to police and not these other bodies like NCIC?
Thank you very much. Now, if you look at Article 33, sub-Article 2 of the Constitution, it says your freedom of expression does not extend to incitement to violence and propaganda for war. If you look at the mandate and the scope of the NCIC, one of it is to curb, investigate, and follow up hate speech and inflammatory rhetoric by anyone. Now, if you see the Penal Code also, by the same token, it criminalizes actions that tend to incite people to violence. And when you listen to what Honorable Kaluma said, it also infringes on people's political rights. The right to express yourself in the political realm is unfettered and unhindered as long as you're in the confines of, you're not spreading hate speech, you're not inciting people to war or propaganda for war, you're not trying to defame anyone, you're allowed and you're supposed, under Article 91 of the Constitution, within your political realm, your political vehicle, to express yourself. So I see this as the application of double standards, which are unacceptable. In Article 27, sub-Article 1 of the Constitution, everyone has a right to the protection of the law. The protection of the law is like an umbrella. the way the Constitution envisages, that when it's raining out there, when you have attacks to your person, to your property, and to your nation, the law is right there to protect you. And that's why we have all these gamut of laws to protect each and everyone, the weak, the strong, and therefore, under Article 27(4) of the Constitution, Subarticle 4, 27 Subarticle 4, no one is above the law or beneath the law. We are all equal before the law. Now that equality before the law means also that if you're going to arrest so-and-so because of what they have been saying and doing, they are on the other side of the political divide. And someone on this political side of the political divide does say or utter the same thing, then you're supposed to take the same measure that you took on the other side in faithfulness to that particular edict of equality before the law. Now, under Article 10, Subarticle 2A and B of the Constitution, you do have also the principle of the rule of law, which is espoused as a value that should be binding on these entities like the NCIC and the police. But what is the main role of the police? It is to maintain security and order. It is to ensure that the state is not attacked externally and internally. If it is the military, for instance, that's the work of the security forces. But if they transgress that boundary, abdicate their role, or neglect to enforce the law, then they are failing. And when we were here the other day, I was able to cite to you Section 6 of the National Police Service Act, which points to the IG, the Inspector General of Police, as the bearer of the ultimate responsibility for these sort of actions. So he should come out and say, why is he not arresting Kaluma? Why, at a bare minimum, summon him so that he records a statement. Now, why is this very important? As we go to the elections, and you find that this is entrenched, where you can place barricades along the road to prevent political opponents from getting to your political zone, as it were, you have zoned it.
That qualifies as a crime?
Yeah. Even under the Elections Act. Why is that an offense? Because you are preventing someone from expressing their political right. And also, let us not forget, under the Constitution, everyone has a freedom of movement, that you can move freely around the country without inhibition. But this is the crux of all this. And this is a point that, for me, is very dangerous. And all Kenyans should mull over this. Now, if you blockade people on the other political divide from accessing your zone that you have zoned, and you call it your political domain, as it were, the way Kaluma was doing to stop the Linda Mwananchi faction of ODM from accessing that, what are you telling me during the election you would do? You will zone off these other so-called opponents so that they do not observe the conduct of the election, which means you can conduct and engage in ballot stuffing. You can engage in conducting all manner of shenanigans. And you can steal votes and stuff ballots without the observers from outside. And more importantly, the agents that are by law supposed to be there to ensure a transparent, a free, and a fair election. So that, to me, is a danger, much more poignant, much more significant to ensure that we don't get there. And it is nipped in the bud at this very stage, because you will hear zoning. You can't come here. And people will accept it. And what will that portend? That the theft of the vote will happen without any sort of challenge.
All right, and thank you for pointing out the Article 33, which I want to read out. And as I do that, allow me to welcome Bwana Weke onto the panel. Karibu sana and good morning. Bwana Weke is a member of the Linda Mwananchi team, and he was in Homa Bay. He'll tell us more about what happened there. This is Brian Weke, political commentator. Karibu sana. Because the question we were asking and we were trying to examine is where it becomes a crime. What should be handled by NCIC and where should the police come in? On freedom of expression, Article 33, every person has a right to freedom of expression, including receiving blah, blah, blah. A lot of this. Part 2, they say the right of freedom of expression does not extend to propaganda for war, incitement to violence, which Peter Kaluma is accused of, hate speech, or advocacy of hatred that constitutes ethnic incitement, vilification of others, or incitement to cause harm, or is based on any ground or discrimination specified or contemplated in Article 27, subsection 4. These people barricaded roads. These people attacked a hotel or an establishment that was said to have hosted some people. The police are supposed to protect life and property. At least 2 people died. Do you still doubt where the police should come in, Bwana Mutambo?
Where there's a crime, a police should bounce in immediately. There's no question about that. Where there's a crime. What I said is that when Brian Weke is walking to the street, you don't just see him and you call him a goon because the way he's dressed or where he is. It becomes a crime when he acts in a certain manner which violates the law. That's what I said. And in this particular instant, what we are witnessing today is disobedience of the law. And I will not say by the police alone. I said by Kenyans. Many Kenyans do not respect the law. Either you are in the government or you are in opposition. You would see people behave in a manner as if this country is a banana republic, right? We have seen in several occasions, and we also need to understand this, even the police are human beings. We have seen people threaten the police. We have seen.
One of those who died is a police officer.
We have seen. We have seen police getting killed. So, would a police kill a police, or would a police kill himself? He is being killed by a person who is opposed to them. It's a simple logic. So, when such a thing happens, and when death occurs, definitely the police will bounce in and they will act. The question is, and I'm not a police officer, although I've done a little bit criminal law. When somebody commits a crime like murdering a person, and that person either vanishes within the crowd or is not there, would the police camp all those people and arrest? If you arrest all those people, Kinyanjui will be in court tomorrow and saying, my client, my client, my client. So they must have tangible evidence that it is...
Bwana Mutambo, there's an obvious case here of incitement. And the person is not...
Are we talking about the action or the incitement?
Both.
For me, I'm calling, if somebody incites Kenyans, that is a crime. That person needs to be arrested.
All right. Does it disturb you that Peter Kaluma is still working?
Kaluma should be arrested.
I am saying if somebody, either Kaluma, Mutambo, Kinyanjui, Weke, it doesn't classify that it must be so and so.
Free as we speak. Right. As it is right now, Brian Weke, Peter Kaluma is free. His statements came before the act. He made this statement and it led to something. Does it disturb you that up until now there appears to be a general reluctance to act in any way?
You know, Kaluma didn't just make statements. Kaluma planned, Kaluma premeditated, Kaluma executed the threats. What you saw going viral was not meant to go viral. It was a meeting that they sat and planned. He had called the drivers of all transports, whether name it, whether Probox or whichever kind of transport. He called in his home all the picky guys. And upon leaving Kaluma's place, like over 2,000 picky-pickies entered the town executing what they'd been asked to do. So Kaluma is not just an inciter. He literally sat down and carefully planned this. Actually, if you passed Homa Bay, everybody was being asked, is Brian Weke or Babu Owino in the car? I have been in this game for long. You don't do this. You do not do this. You know, when we were, forget about the small areas where they had planned goons. Now, when we were entering Homa Bay town, they had the first team of around 1,000 youths who were armed with firearms. They were armed with tear gas. They were armed with machetes. They were armed with stones. So when we breached that barricade, because our resolve to enter town, nothing was going to stop us. We met the police in their numbers. And
so the police were there?
They were there. And we asked them, what is happening? Why aren't you protecting us? The police who died is because when we breached that group, they ran to the bush and they came behind. That's when now they were torching our cars. Now, the police who died, they were throwing stones at us, but we had already breached that particular barricade.
Police were throwing stones?
So now we reached the police.
Okay.
So they thought they were hitting us. That is when now the police actually had to defend themselves. And we repulsed them and we entered town. Fred, I've never seen anything like this. I have been in this politics for a while. We've been with Mutambo in this game. It doesn't really. It's not supposed to reach here.
In that same area, there was a by-election in Kasipul, and there were cases of violence as well. Are we saying that this has gone a notch higher, that the level of violence is getting...
Not a notch higher. This has gotten to alarming proportions. Because you have goons armed with firearms, with tear gas canisters, and the police are seated and watching. And we actually spoke to a number of these police officers are sympathetic to us. They know what we are doing. They said they were given instructions not to interfere.
Okay.
They were given instructions not to respond. And at this particular time, I want to say this without fear of contradiction. Kaluma ought to be arrested, not just for insightful words, for planning and executing these murders. And these numbers you're seeing, 82 people died. Fred, there are so many people who died.
Right.
As we speak, you're not even allowed to go to the mortuary to confirm people who are dead. We've been talking to the attendants, and the numbers are quite high.
Okay.
Kaluma and our governor have actually killed a number of our children, which is very, very unfortunate.
Okay. The front page of the Standard lays the blame squarely on these three people, the CS Interior, PS Interior, and Police IG. The PS, Raymond Omolo, had issued had given an assurance a few days earlier that nothing would happen. He comes from the same county. Are you saying that from your own account and from your discussions with police, that reluctance to intervene was actually by design, that they got instructions not to?
It was an order. They were instructed not to interfere. Because let me ask you, Fred, there were a number of over 100 police officers. If they wanted to disperse a crowd of 1,000 people, they would have done it long before we checked in. They just sat behind that crowd of 1,000 youths who were waiting for us. And they did nothing. Until now they were being attacked. Because when these guys were attacking us, after we had breached them, we had now reached the police. And that's how a police officer died.
Right.
Fred, let me ask him, because he was right there. Did you lodge a report with the police?
We did.
You have?
We have. Our counsel on the ground.
Yes.
A number of your cars were torched?
A number of cars were torched. A number of our people were maimed. No car left that scene. We had around 150 or 200 cars. No car left that scene without a dent.
Because
and all this was reported to the police.
The point that I wanted him to clarify to the Kenyan people is this. A crime or crimes actually were committed. The arson, that's the attacks on the cars, the malicious damage, and the assault and whatever it is. If you do have those OBs, then you do have an entry point with the IPOA, such that now the police have failed to investigate these crimes. But if it happens, and like everybody closes the book, and goes off and will come on shows or wherever it is in the public domain, and we say that, you saw what happened, you did. But if we do follow up, then we hold these officials, we hold these police officers to account, because there is a legitimate complaint under the law. Remember, under the National Police Service Act, if you do not lodge a complaint against which the police can investigate, you have nothing to hold them to account.
Is that part of the failure, that probably some of these cases...
That's what I wanted to ask him.
We've gotten to a point where we assume...
So we can move forward.
Acts of Goonism are common, and in any political arrangement or rivalry, they will be there. We do not report. Could that be part of the problem? Did you report this to the police? As there are records with the police that, yes, these crimes were committed?
Of course. As I've told you, our counsel on the ground is called Nyauke. He went to the police station and reported.
Okay, so there's a record.
But you know...
I know there's that feeling of helplessness.
No, you see, the point that I'm making is very important. It's very important, because even if the counsel goes to court, to the police, and he says that, our vehicle or whatever was torched, the act of arson relates to a particular motor vehicle. The registered owner must lodge the complaint. And the person assaulted must lodge the complaint. Otherwise, then the police will say, this is a faceless sort of complainant. And therefore, you will give them a pass. So we must be more proactive.
Yes. So from what we've seen so far with the acts of Goonism that we've witnessed across the country, not just in Homa Bay, is that the greatest weakness, that we've gotten to a point where we're just lethargic about the law? We do not report this because we've seen it as something normal as we head towards the next election. No one is reporting this.
And I think also it goes with their planning. I'm not involved in political rallies. But if I were there, I would have so-called a wing that for me is like a guard. And you have to document that they are out there. Their sole object is to document any incident of such intrusion into our political meeting, in this sense. That if you do see these goons, do we capture their faces? Can we follow them? And some of these goons are actually captured, like in Okalau, who are able then to speak forth. And that's the difference between now what is happening and Okalau, because Okalau, there's a politician called Kawanjiko. His vehicle was actually,
But those are video records. And Wakili, because I'm looking at where does it become a crime and where do the police come in, and actually this matter is taken a step further.
Allow me to finish that point. Because you see, if Brian says here, there were vehicles torched, we saw that. But if the person's motor vehicle that was torched, that's an act of arson, does not complain himself or herself to the police, where does that leave us, we who are against that sort of attack? And then you give a pass to the state and they who are sponsors of this state terror or, the Goonism. Because then they feel that we can get away because our people can't face this. But Brian, I would challenge you. They who are armed with bows and arrows, and we see them on social media or at least even in the news, why can they go and report that these are people who are violating the law?
Going forward, because, and I pose this question to you, because every politician or aspirant or candidate at this point, 357 days to the next election, they're already engaging their supporters or potential voters. It would appear it's a trend now that everyone finds the necessity to have this small group of people who are armed with crude weapons to accompany them around. This heading towards the election, even at the local level, then what is the net effect of that if at all these cases will not be reported?
The problem is not people having 2-3 supporters following them. The problem is what is done on the ground. And like Wakil is putting it very clearly. And I like giving examples. We had such a cases in Mwingi Central, whereby people were being attacked.
And I'm told that there's a small technical hitch there. Yes, we'll sort it out. Apologies for that. As we do that, Weke, this is, and you've been here, you've observed quite a number of elections. This time round, it would appear all candidates, or at least 80% of the candidates, find the necessity to have this grouping. I'm sure even Linda Mwananchi have a team that probably they walk around with just for their own protection. Why is this necessary now? And don't you think that by the time we get into election, it would have boiled over into something else?
I listened to Kinyanjui, and He's arguing very well like an advocate, which is a good thing. You know, even before the rally, all these meetings that were used to plan for all this chaos, we reported to the police. Even before the rally, our advocate, who was coordinating things on the ground, his building was attacked. And we went and reported. Nothing happened. You know, I don't know. These goons were planned by the state, including a police officer was killed, including many other police officers were maimed. So this story of reporting is just a procedural thing.
That sense of helplessness, I'm worried about it, because now we're heading towards an election. We're hoping for a solution here. It is a problem that...
the solution has to be curbed by the state. But the problem is that the state is sponsoring violence. It is a state that is arming these young people. It is a state that is coordinating this attack. It is a state, and I want to say this as a lawyer without fear of contradiction. Because what we saw, we reported all these things. There was a meeting somewhere at the border of Mbita. They brought in everywhere we were going, they held meetings to plan against us. And we reported. But I can tell you for a fact, the police on the ground, their hands are tied.
So what happens here? Because yes, if you look at the front page of the Daily Nation, it says, yes, that there was actually a meeting at a politician's home, and that each person who was charged with this job was given 4,000 bob. So besides the violence that we watch and we express outrage and it's written on all front pages, then what next, Bwana Mutambo?
You see, I hear Brian very well. And the frustration comes in when you report and nothing happens. But the question is it wrong for me to hold a meeting in my house or anywhere? Do I have also that freedom to call people as a politician to either my home or my town? Or anywhere? Is it a crime? So when Kinyanjui is holding a meeting in his home and I go to report to the police, what do I want the police to do at that particular moment? To go and ask whether that meeting is licensed? I don't need a license to invite anybody in my house. I don't need. Okay,
it's a political season, yes.
As per the law, okay? Because it's my house and I can invite guests to have a meal or whatever. So at that point, when I go and say Kinyanjui is holding a meeting in his house, what do I expect the police to do? That is number one. Number two, when he asked, is there any formal report? Because the police will not just go in the street and start arresting anybody because Brian made a report that there is a car which has been touched. There must be particulars so that if the police are going for any witness, they know the owner of the car, who will stand in court and say, this was my car and it was touched. Brian will go there and put his statement and say, I was there, I saw. You build a case. A police will not just go and start arresting people. He has no witness. He has not compiled his case. He has done nothing. He will face Kinyanjui and work actually. They will go there and say, no, my client has not done this and there is no proof to link them with whatever happened. Yes, something happened. But how sure are we that it is him? Because there is nothing at all, either reported or produced to the police for them to take action. And that's why I told you, it becomes a crime the moment a crime has been committed, and for the police to act now, there must be that witnesses. There must be those who saw what happened. And the problem is that those who saw what happened, they don't report as it happened.
Okay. So, gentlemen.
And that's what I was saying, so that I augment what Honorable Mutambo is saying. The political arrangement that, DCP or Linda Mwananchi or whichever other faction that is anti-government or they want to seize power in the next election, you must plan. We will be having this rally. And because you've seen how the state-sponsored Goonism is operating, And you have your people on the ground ready also to capture whatever is going on by way of evidence.
Your own people, or to capture the evidence?
No, yeah,
Not
absolutely.
to protect yourself?
To protect yourself, but to protect yourself, I don't mean...
That would be fanning the violence.
No. To protect yourself, I don't mean that, well, self-defense is allowed under the law. You don't mean that someone will come and attack and punch you as you watch, just like that. But the point that I'm making to them is you must arrange. If I were involved in the political rallies, one of the things that I would say that, look, there is no journalist who will come right there and get harmed by these so-called goons, because they are capturing and they have backup. Same thing that I'll repeat, the Okalau experience is a blueprint that everybody else ought to follow, in my humble view, because now those so-called sponsored goons were cornered in a way. And NTV, your media, competing station, has captured all of that. And so I'm wondering, if you have seen this is how the state is doing, do you have that as your backup plan to gather the evidence? Now, let me finally say this. If the state has failed, right now you can see, right here, there's an act of arson. There is an owner to this vehicle, registered owner, registered with the NTSA. So the moment they produce that evidence and the state fails to act, the police, they have a remedy. You go and sue the state for this loss. That's how the Attorney General is sued on behalf of the state.
Counsel James Orengo said he's going to sue the state for this. But you avoided my question I was asking, and I think he's alluded to it. Do you now find the necessity, because I've not even asked about the safety of your leaders right now. No one has seen Edwin Sifuna since the events of Sunday, and we just hope he's safe. But now, as a movement, do you find the need to have your own group in case you need protection or you encounter such a team again on your movements?
You know, the team of Linda Mwananchi is a fairly young leadership in this country. And one of the key things that we do not want to associate ourselves with is those issues of Goonism. We go to every single part of this country without protection, without the police, without all these machinations. And we walk in and we speak to our supporters. Whether you're asking whether we feel like we want to protect ourselves, the answer is yes. What we saw on Sunday.
How will you protect yourselves?
No, I'm saying, if you're asking whether we need to protect ourselves.
Do you find the necessity to have self-defense mechanisms?
You know.
And what kind of shape would that self-defense mechanism take?
No, you see, the person who protects individuals, if you look at the Constitution, is the police service.
They've obviously failed.
Yeah. So, clearly, they have to step up. I know what you want me to say.
No, I'm asking because I know it's the police that will replicate.
The police of this country, the police service needs to step up. All these stories Kinyanjui is saying, you need to report, there's an answer. All those things have been done. That law you're talking about is on paper. Is a good, in Kenya here, one of the key things that we have is very good pieces of legislation. And I know Kinyanjui wants to fault reporting. Reporting has been done. We have documented all these things. Let me tell you, there is no political formation that is good at documentation like Linda Mwananchi. All those faces, we have them. All those faces, we took them. All those faces were reported, including others were arrested, and orders came from above and they were released, even without cash bail. So these are very good stories of how the law has been crafted. Yes. Implementation is a big challenge, because without the police, how do you implement?
Yes, obvious failure by police here. And you saw Brian struggling to explain or to give the way forward in as far as you use the word self-defense and you say it is
permissible. It's permissible.
But in the political context, if a team is coming to accost you and they are in their numbers, what do? Self-defense is allowed within the law. Does it mean that now you come with your own team? And what would that mean if now it blows up?
That is where we draw the line. And we have a very thin line between protecting yourself and committing a crime. And that's why you hear Brian, because he's a lawyer, trying to avoid your question. But I listen to what he is not saying. So if you are keen enough, you did hear him loudly, what he just said. And here is the catch. And this is where I part with my friend Brian. When you say, I'm organizing this meeting without any security, without the police, first and foremost, the crowd you are inviting are not your brothers and sisters, are mixed. And the work of the police is to protect not only those who are allied to the government, but any Kenyan. So if you ignore the police and you say, I don't want police in my meeting, Kenyans are mixed. There are others who don't come to the meeting to listen to you. There are those who come to the meetings because that is their payday, okay? And they would want to do any kind of things. My good friend here is a victim of those people who gather around whatever is happening to do other things, like snatching your phone, pickpocketing you. It happens. And when there is no police, when the organizers have made it very clear that there are no police required here, so those people who are there with a different opinion or with a different mentality, they will do whatever they want to do, and the chaos may erupt. You may see a chaos whereby people are fighting. I was in a meeting somewhere. Somebody collapsed in that meeting. Then there was an issue. No, he has been hit by this, blah, 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 blah. Then the fight starts. There was no goons who were brought in there, but there were chaos. So the chaos erupted. What I'm saying is that the organizers, the leaders, and that's why I go back to the leaders, are the ones who are responsible for anything happening to any Kenyan. Because if I organize a meeting, or if I carry with my car and I drive carelessly, I'm charged with careless driving. Likewise, if you drive a meeting without proper security arrangements, then you are putting...
by security, you say police.
Yes, I'm talking about the police. Because the work of the police is to protect both.
Okay.
Those people who are attending, the leaders themselves, it is their work. Police is paid to protect Weke, is paid to protect Mutambu. It's not paid to protect only one man.
What happens in cases where police stay away? Like in this case, they are there but not fail to act. On that issue about self-defense, because I'm seeing something forming here, that politicians will now intentionally ensure their own protection away from the laid out plan, the security agencies, the security structure in Kenya. At what point does it become criminal to have a group protecting you? Not necessarily engaging in violence, but protecting you?
Well, very unfortunately, the monopoly of violence, as it were, to unleash is under the law vested in the police force. And that's for the maintenance of security. The moment you breach that, you then have breached the law, you as a citizen. But there is the issue of self-preservation. You have to preserve your own life, which I'm saying is, self-defense.
There are female politicians who may feel that their security is under threat. Young politicians, aspiring politicians who've not been there long enough, they may feel that their security is probably not guaranteed. Police are already strained too thin. When it comes to closer to the campaign period, there'll be need for more protection in these political environments. At what point does it cross the line and become criminal to ensure your own safety?
Okay, probably before I answer that, and I'll answer that, I use the Ivory Coast experience. This is exactly what happened before the election. The re-election of this person for the 4th term. And let's remember how he came into power. Huyu alikuwa ni kibaraka wa Faransa. This is Olusegun Ouattara, a puppet of the French people, to decimate the Ivory Coast. Well, I think it should be the largest, the second largest economy in West Africa. And so the French had a need to still impose him. And therefore, he was never hauled to the ICC. Gbagbo, by contrast, was deliberately barred from going to the election. So when you see the people who were actually supporting Gbagbo saying that we are being politically disadvantaged, and then insisting on the person being on the ballot, This is what the state did under Alassane Ouattara. In the same scenario of having the police force siding with the state, going against the public, that was actually for the removal. What do you see as an outcome? The fella is in power. So this is the playbook which is being used right here. Now, having said that, let me come back to this issue, which is why I'm saying, for them, if I were in their, whatever, I'm a lawyer, I'm not a politician, I have no interest, I don't want to be a politician. You have to look at what you are up against. And when someone stands on the rooftop of a vehicle and says, and is very proud, very arrogant, because he knows he wants to use the state machinery. If I were them, I would be there camping before the NCIC and saying that you have to implement the law. This is your domain. Okay. So when you find out the necessity to protect yourself, you have to question, when will this end? It's unlikely to end, because you have a desperate political front that is out there to entrench itself and to preserve power. And you heard what one Farouk Kibet was saying, in the public domain. And you, as the other side, competing for political power, and political competition should never ever be equated with the assertion of the political muscle for violence, that we can exert more violence. And for them, if I were them, I would say, because you're going to have a political rally, and you have notified the police, and then you demand that police, the responsible person, under the Public Order Act, they should then respond to you and assure you that, yes, we will get the security that we need. So that if there is failure, and this is how I'm saying, the chain of documentation must be there. If there is failure, it is that person then you will hold to account. Take them to IPOA, have them removed.
Wakili, is it criminal to have a group protecting you as a politician away from the police? That's what I'm asking. Because we are seeing cases where politicians are finding it necessary now to have groups around them. Is it criminal? Is it against the law?
It is not, strictly speaking, criminal. It is not, strictly speaking. Okay. Because you can get private security, as it were, to guard and to protect you. It happens. Okay. We have bodyguards. It is not criminal. What then will happen? And I think this is what the trigger that the political establishment wants, such that there can be violence. Remember, and let me repeat what I said, there are voices and murmurs underneath, the undercurrents, that they do not want to have the election in 2027. And so they need this desperately to have a justification. And if you do have now the confrontation between the police force and your private security, then you have given them what they want.
Right. God save Kenya. That's a headline on the front page of the Standard. We're trying to get a solution or a way out of this, but it would appear that this time round, we're in a fix.
There's a way out.
I've been trying to get a way out,
I
and no
told
one.
you from beginning that this madness starts with the leaders themselves, from whichever divide. So, if
in the season of madness.
Let me tell you, if it is clear that if I want to hold a meeting, I need to notify the police, and I've done this before. Okay, people plan against you. You also plan with the security, and you give credible information that there's this and this information. We believe that these people are planning ABCD.
In an ideal situation, yes.
Police will, let me tell you, police, they have acted in my several meetings, whereby yes. I hold a meeting, I have information that my opponent is planning to disrupt my meeting, and I go to the police, and the police enhance the numbers. It happens. We cannot just sit here.
It also happens that the PS
there are so many meetings.
Gives an assurance.
There are so many meetings happening in this country without violence.
Yes.
They are there. So why are they happening in a particular group of people who are ignoring, the fact that when you're having a meeting, you need the presence of the police?
Okay. In an ideal situation, final word on this, Brian Weke, that is probably the ideal situation. This time round, even the PS assured you that there would be no violence in Homa Bay. The PS comes from Homa Bay himself. There was a lot of violence. That is not what would be expected. Now, in reality, what happens next?
I listened to Mutambo. First, he says that any politician who goes for a public rally without assuring security really has a problem. Fred, we we went to every police station where we're going to have any single stop and gave notice, very long time notice. And we said we will be having our rally on the 16th. And we have, they received our letter and they stamped, we have a stamped copy because I know Kinyanjui likes following the law. When we got wind of all these plannings, you know, it is only these leaders who are in two-term. The common man who struggles, the common man who suffers, the person from Homa Bay who wakes up every morning to get a living, they know what they're going through. Every single meeting that they had, there was somebody recording. And not one person. There were so many. And with those recordings, we still went back. And I held a press conference 2 days with our party leader, James Orengo, and mentioned these series of meetings. What did we do? We still went ahead because Kinyanjui likes following written law. And we went to the police and reported and said on this day, there was a meeting here. On this day, there was a meeting at the stadium. On this day, there was a meeting at Kaluma's office, Kaluma's house. There is another one that was done at Kaluma's, and these were discussed. These are the recordings. On this day, there was a hotel at the border of Suba South and Suba North where they held a meeting, and we gave details plus recordings. What is being done? Zero. Now, let me tell you, Fred, it is not us to provide security. The Constitution is very clear that the only organ that is supposed to offer security is the Kenya Police Service. And our role as responsible citizenry is to report and give a notice that we will be coming to hold a meeting. Now, as I've told you, the police knew, the police planned themselves, the police turned out in large numbers. But guess what? They just did nothing. Now, I have been here in this country. I was there in 2007. And I'm telling you, the drums of war in this election are way louder than 2007. The state which is supposed to curb these issues is funding. The state that is supposed to curb these issues is funding. The state that is supposed to curb these issues is arming. I can tell you for a fact, the way we are going, 2007 will be a joke. Because, and this is being done all over the country. And what I'll agree with Kinyanjui, that all these things are planned for purposes of creating violence so that the next election can be rigged. There are no numbers on the ground. If you look at the statistics, they are not working. Whatever they are doing, nothing seems to be happening. So what have they done? They have resulted into violence. They want to win this election through violence. And I can tell you for a fact, where we are going as a country, this will be the most violent elections you'll ever see.
That's what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah. Could I beg Brian, just very quickly so you can think about it. Could I beg him, please? Because having heard him, that they did everything within the book, and maybe 10 others outside the book, that's all very well. But if I were involved in this sort of thing, I would go and take a petition for the removal of that PS. Because he has failed. Because if he assures you that we will have security and he doesn't provide that security, and all these acts happen when he's watching, under his watch, I would have taken also a petition for the removal of the CS. I would have taken a petition for the removal of that IG. This is not a joke.
Do you think this would be the solution?
No. I'm saying, let me document. Let me do it. Let the members of parliament, who are also victims of that, who are going to an election with this sort of scenario, fail the Kenyan people. so that every Kenyan person can know you are the one in parliament that failed me. We took a petition to you to remove these persons because of incompetence, because of fostering an environment of insecurity, of murder, of arson, and every chaotic scenario that we have in our political platforms. It is unacceptable. So I would challenge them. Let us go that further step. Let's not just voice and say whole press conferences and saying that this is what happened. I document it. Let us take it to Parliament, the institution that is supposed to remove them by law. Now, if there's failure, then we say, you had the opportunity to do it. You failed us. We can't go to an election with this sort of scenario. Let us all agree that we need a peaceful environment for the democratic expression of the voice of the Kenyan people. And if the Kenyan people have rejected a regime, that regime has no right to impose itself using violence against the will of the Kenyan people. It has to come to a stop. And the head, they who are in the political front, must lead that. Not just say that I reported it, and then what? If we have these piled up reports and are not being acted upon, then there is an institution of failure at every front in the security organs.
And we are in agreement with that. He paints a very grim picture about the future if we continue in this trajectory.
Yes.
He's pointed out a possible solution. Get rid of those three gentlemen on the front page of the Standard. Do you think that would be a solution?
Through Parliament?
No. I'm saying if they fail. If Parliament fails,
yes.
Brian, if Parliament fails,
okay,
then the Kenyan people are watching and they say that you cannot come back to me for re-election. No.
I'll come to you, Brian, and Wakili. Bwana Mutambu, would that be the solution?
As we look for the solution, I am concerned by what Brian has said. He said that the drums of war are so loud that 2007 will be nothing.
If we continue with this trajectory, I think that's what he said.
Yes, I'm asking this question. Who is beating the drum? Who is beating the drum? And if we have information that so and so is beating this drum so loud, why are we not offering ourselves and say this drum is being beaten by Kinyanjui, by Mutambo, and now we deal with those people who are beating the drum? That is point number one.
Why not deal with these people directly?
The moment, I don't think these are the beaters of the...
But they are responsible.
They are for failure to...
I don't think. We want them to act on the people who are beating the drum. Because their job is to deal with those who are beating the drum.
And they are not.
Okay? So, have we gone there, like he's putting it, and said, Idimuli is beating this drum in this manner, and this is the evidence.
Peter Kaluma
we have not done.
You
see, I will narrow down. I'll narrow down to Peter Kaluma. And we are all politicians. And Brian Weke will tell you, there was a politician here who said, ukiona wao. And he was in trouble. But he said, ukiona wao, weka tai repeat. So you could not know where the crime is there. If I read what Kaluma said, and I'm not defending him, Kaluma said, pass with those. Brian is a politician. And he will say, anybody doing this, nitapita na yeye. It happens. I even also say that. I'm not defending what he said. The question is, do we have documented evidence to get Kaluma to the bars tomorrow? So that, and by the way, it just happened the other day. There is a process on prosecuting somebody. And Brian, as a lawyer, will tell you.
We've seen another.
But for Kagusha, it was like overnight.
And presented
it was like overnight.
Almost.
You see, it depends with the weight of the remarks. It depends with, let us be fair also. It depends with...
Are you being light on Kaluma?
No, I'm not being light. Let me tell you, I am one person. Even if the president is wrong, I'll say it here.
Okay.
I'm that person, and you know me. So it will also depend on the weight of the remarks. Who said what, and which remarks came out from my mouth, and what did you say?
We're looking for a solution.
So those are the issues. And the solution here, let me tell you, to begin with, it lies with the leaders. It lies with every Kenyan, because security is not...
what about those three gentlemen? I keep asking.
Mutambo will talk about everyone, but not these three gentlemen. Now, Mutambo.
Yes, sir.
We are on a national TV. Don't claim to be self-righteous that you will point out where there is something wrong, and you fail to see what Kaluma did. Kaluma gave clear instructions that go to every hotel and fish out those people. He said it. What did the goons do? As instructed, after being paid, they went into one of the biggest hotels in Homa Bay. Walked in, vandalized property, stole goods, pelted the place with stones, and they literally ransacked that hotel. Now, that is a serious criminal offense. And the Mutemba will never say that on air. Mutemba will tell you many. Mutemba will tell you many stories.
Why not?
Do you think that those three gentlemen,
these three gentlemen, since independence, we've never seen the kind of insecurity we have seen in this country. Look at what happened in Olkala by-election. Look at the by-election that happened in Western. Look at Kasipul, Kabondo by-election. Look at what happened to Linda Mwananchi. You have seen goons attacking churches. We have seen goons attacking opposition leaders. And yet we can sit and say, we are good. You know, security starts with you. Security is about all of us. Security is about you taking charge. Security falls under these three people. And these guys have failed.
All right.
Murkomen is one of the most useless ministers I've ever seen.
They remove him. Let me ask.
Gentlemen.
Who will remove him?
Gentlemen, let's get the
Kinyanjui talks about law by the book. Which parliament are you taking these people to?
All right. Before you respond,
this parliament that a member is
we do have Quinto. Gentlemen, we do have Quinto Ofula in Mombasa. And he's talking to the people of Mombasa about exactly what we're discussing here, the issue of Goonism. And what is the solution? Quinto, good morning, over to you. What are the people of Mombasa saying about this?
Good morning, Fred Ndimuli. I'm in Mombasa katika bunge la wananchi katika eneo la Majengo, ambapo niko tu hapa kuhusikia fupi tu wabunge ama wakazi wa eneo hili waweze kutueleza kulingana nao wanahisi suluhu ni lipi ili kuweza kumaliza visa hivi vya Goonism ambavyo vimezidi kukidhiri. Anza tu kwa jina, tuambie unaitwa nani? Nitakushikia hii.
Jina langu na Amos Ngusu, na nikiwa hapa Mombasa, na makunzi ni wengi sana paka vifo vimeanza kutokezea kama Kisumu, Kelati, Siwanga, vile makunzi imetokezea pale. Maanake watu wanamlaumu sana Kelati, Siwanga. Sisi hata tunashindwa. Sasa huyu Kelati, Siwanga ameshinda Martha Karua.
Kulingana na wewe, suluhu ni lipi ama nini kifanywe ili kuweza kuwakabili?
Sasa sisi tunataka katika makuni kuanzia saa hii hao makuni bwana watulie, maanake wiki minzi kama wameweka makuni kama tutawekea mpaka kila mtu akuwe sasa akuwe upande wake, huyu mwingine akuwe upande huu. Sasa katika taifa letu la Kenya ni kukawanya mara mingi, maanake makunzi kama pale Kisumu, huyu Kelati, Siwanga bile kuanzia pale anaweza enda Kakamega, anaweza enda, maanake watawekea mpaka kama hiyo. Sasa wiki
haya tusikie vile kulingana na wenza kwa jina, suluhu ni lipi ili kuweza kukabili hao magenge? Anza kwa jina.
Asante sana kwa majina, mimi naitwa Collins Ochengo, bado kwa jina nyingine profesa. Kama profesa, mambo la goons, chenye naita goons, mimi naomba Rais William Samoei Ruto ambaye akona philosophy, na philosophy ni hivi: watu wako na njaa, na njaa ndio inaita hii watu wa goons. Kwa hivyo kama William Samoei Ruto, sasa hii kazi inakuja, vijana wapewe kazi ya KDF inakuja, na wakipewa kazi hii mambo ya goons itaisha. Ni kwa sababu ya shida ya njaa ndio inafanya goons.
Sawa. Haya, wewe suluhu liwe lipi ili kuwakabili?
Asante sana kwa majina, naitwa Solomon Mohamed. Mimi siwezi laumu mtu yote kwa sababu na laumu idara ya usalama. Tunaomba Rais William Samoei Ruto, ni sisi wa Kenya tuliokupigia kura wewe, na kazi yako wewe kama ambaye rais lazima uchunge maisha wa Kenya. Kwa hivyo tunaomba rais wetu William Samoei Ruto afanye mageuzi katika idara ya usalama. Cha kwanza, Kipchumba Murkomen ni waziri wa usalama. Na hii mambo ya goons ambayo Kenya mpaka mtu ajui kama akitoka kwa nyumba anarudi salama haijulikani. Kwa hivyo Kipchumba Murkomen, tunakuomba kama waziri wetu, hii mambo ya Goonism lazima uchukulie kiserious. Na kama unaona pia hii kitu imekushinda, peana, na tunaomba rais, endapo Kipchumba Murkomen atajizulu na useme Kipchumba Murkomen ondoka hapo, tunaomba hii kiti cha usalama apeleke kule Turkana ama Kisii, kwa sababu hakuna kabila lingine itawezana na hii mambo ya usalama.
Asante. Kwa sekunde za kuhesabu, suluhu ni nini?
Naitwa Joseph Maloba. Nataka kuzungumza kidogo kuhusu mambo ya kupata suluhisho ya hawa magunzi. Mimi kama Mkenya halisi nataka kulaumu kidogo waziri wa usalama Murkomen, Mheshimiwa Murkomen, kwa sababu mimi naona anazembea, kwa sababu mwanasiasa yote yule ni Mkenya na anastahili kuenda popote, anastahili kuzungumza na Wakenya mahali popote pale, na anastahili kuwekewa ulinzi. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Murkomen, ukisikia kwamba kuna mkutano wa mwanasiasa yote yule ambaye ni mheshimiwa anaenda mahali fulani kuhutubia mkutano ama kuzungumza na wananchi, ni vizuri wewe kama mheshimiwa waziri wa usalama uchukue hatua, uhakikishe kuna usalama mahali pale. Hii Kenya kuna maafisa wengi wa usalama ambao wako wengi na wengine wamekaa tu kwa station, hakuna kazi wanafanya. Mbona wasitumwe mahali kama pale kushika usalama na kungoja usalama mahali pale? Haya, Mheshimiwa Rais William Ruto wetu, ambaye tunaomba kwamba wewe ndio kiongozi wa taifa hili, na yale mama ambaye yanafanyika katika mikutano za siasa, wanasiasa wa Kenya wanaumia, makundi ya magunzi yanaumiza watu. Wewe kama rais wetu ambaye ni wa taifa hili la Kenya, je, katika jambo hili wewe unaliona vipi? Kwa sababu wewe ndio rais ambao wewe ndio msema hayo yote, wewe ndio muamuzi, wewe ndio ulimteua huyu waziri wa usalama ambaye ni Mheshimiwa Murkomen. Tafadhali kaa pamoja na wewe waziri wa usalama. Kama hawezi hii kazi, basi sisi tunaomba kama Wakenya abadilishwe, aweke katika idara nyingine, maana hii idara tunaona Wakenya wanaumia na Wakenya wameanza kuwa na wasiwasi kuhusu usalama wa taifa hili. So tunaomba mheshimiwa, tafadhali. Asante.
Kumekuwa na madai kwamba polisi wanashirikiana na haya makundi ya uhuni. Kulingana na wewe, nini kifanywe ili kuweza kukabili visa hivi?
Asante. Kwa majina naitwa Hamisi Katana Baya. Mimi kwa maoni yangu, mimi nitasema hivi. Huu ushirikiano wa askari na hawa maguns, hapo mimi napinga, na mimi naona kama Kenya ni makosa makubwa sana. Kwa sababu unaposhirikiana, wewe tunakuhitaji utulinde kama maofisa walinde maisha ya Wakenya. Sawa sawa. And then wewe ndio ambao una support na unatengeneza hizo maguns ziwezi kupiga Wakenya wengine. Hiyo jambo la kwanza mimi nitalipinga, ni makosa makubwa sana. Ya pili, mimi nasema kwamba pia vijana kutumika vibaya. Sawa, kutumika vibaya pia ni makosa sana. Kwamba wewe unapewa shilingi 500, unaenda piga mwenzako panga, unaenda piga mwenzako jiwe, hiyo pia ni makosa makubwa sana. So ningeomba sisi wenyewe kwanza tuweze kujilinda sisi wenyewe, tuweze kujipatia amani kwanza sisi wenyewe, kabla serikali haije tupatia nini? Amani. Tusitumike vibaya. Hii ni maisha. Hizi mambo na siasa zinapita tu, lakini maisha ya mwanadamu inafanya nini? Inaendelea. So ni makosa sana wewe kama Mkenya, wewe kama kijana kutumika vibaya na mwanasiasa, then yeye anapata mshahara, wewe anakupatia shilingi 500 kila mwezi, yeye milioni ya pesa, ni pesa anapata nyingi sana. Wewe anakutumia tu hapa chini, unaumia, then ukiumia ukienda pale Makadara ama ukienda hospitali yoyote, hakuna mahali mwanasiasa utamuona. Yeye atakuwa ameenda zake, amekutumia kama dustbin, then baadaye amefanya nini? Ameenda. So ni makosa sana. Hata wewe ambaye unaingia kwa serikali ukitumiwa kama gunzi, jiangalie kwanza maisha yako. Wewe hujapewa training, hujapewa chochote, huna silaha yoyote, wewe unaingia tu hapo. Hiyo ni makosa sana. So Wakenya lazima tubadilike. Tuchukue siasa, tuzibebe kuangalia maisha yetu. Tusiangalie maisha ya kuumiza watu wengine. Asante sana.
Kwa sababu ya muda tutamalizia hapo. Mwenzangu Fred Ndimuli, hayo ndiyo maoni ya wakazi kutoka kaunti hii ya Mombasa. Wanarai kwamba vyombo ambavyo vimepewa jukumu ama vimejukumika kuhakikisha kwamba Wakenya wanapewa usalama, viweze kuhakikisha kwamba usalama unapatikana. Mlipa ushuru anapotia bidii kulipa ushuru, kumlipa yule ambaye anastahili kuhakikisha usalama wake, basi yule ambaye anastahili kumpa usalama aweze kumakinika na kuhakikisha kwamba taifa linakuwa salama. Kutoka kaunti ya Mombasa, mimi ni Quinto Wafula na regesha kwako studio.
Asante sana Quinto Wafula, ripota wetu kule Mombasa, na kuzungumza na wakazi wa Mombasa kuhusu haya goons. And I think there's consensus as these three gentlemen, as they are, they need to leave. That's according to what the people of Mombasa are saying. Final comments on this, gentlemen. You do agree that
that's my solution.
That's
what
the
I'm
solution.
saying. That's what
they
I'm
need
saying.
to go. But Mweke says probably not through parliament, a different...
No, I'm saying, and I insist on it, and Kenyans must go that route. Who is in parliament? You're supposed to elected representative. Pursuant to then what? Article 1 of the Constitution. What do? You are supposed to exercise your power directly or indirectly through them. So if you've told them that, look, I want you to go and pass that motion. I want you to have this person removed. And then they fail. Then you can say that, well, we sent you because we needed the security for us to go to the election period in safety and security, and you have failed us. You cannot get re-elected. You're going to pile that pressure. And then you hear the civil society is, with all these banners, against any of this or the other cause. But organize. They should organize. And the Kenyan people will say that, look, we are coming to your office. Go and camp at Murkomen's office or the PS office or the IG's office. You will have piled enough pressure. There is one person that I salute in this country called Honorable Okiya Omtata. Remember when he was beginning, he went and chained himself right outside the police, and he sent a statement that they could not ignore. The Kenyan people, all of us, and when we say that, look, you are failing us, and this is our voice through the institution we call parliament. Mweke is of a different view because all you feel that, this is a captured institution. I say, very well, that may be so, but let us do it and say that you're captured. You cannot get re-elected under my watch as a Kenyan because you failed me. Then you even have a legitimate reason to say that we are offering the alternative government. But now, we cannot have this la vie or attitude that, what will be, will be. No way. We have to be proactive. We must defend our country. It is under internal invasion by a power that wants to entrench itself against our own self-interest, against our own survival, against our own future. Are we going to sit back and just watch? Not me.
Those three gentlemen have to go. Bwana Mutambo. That is the agreed solution across board, that the CS, PS, and IG of police, that's where the problem is.
I don't think so. Okay? Brian, you may laugh, but I would ask a simple question. All right? We remove them. We put other people. Kenyans, politicians, Brian Mweke and the rest behave the way they are behaving. What have we solved? What have we solved? Remove everybody, okay? Put Brian there as a person. But when he goes to a meeting, he's going with the goons. When he's organizing his rally, he's organizing with the goons, right? So if the politicians, the leaders do not stop what they are doing, it doesn't matter who you put there. Put Kinyanjui there tomorrow. He will be frustrated by the same politicians. The remedy is...
I'm going to jail them. I will take action against them.
The remedy is for the leaders to stop what they are doing. And I'm not saying Brian. I'm saying every leader who is planning all these actions to stop. That is where we should start.
And when they do
Today go and bring, Bishop who, and put them in the police. If the action of Kenyans still remain the same, nobody will change what is happening.
All right.
I'm telling you. It is us, the leaders, to make sure that we change our attitude towards ourselves.
The fear is real. We do not want the kind of violence we witnessed in 2007 to happen. Nothing close to that should ever happen again. These three gentlemen have to go. Brian.
I've seen regimes. I've never seen this kind of regime. And the more I listen to Mutambo, then I realize the problem is not just the three gentlemen. It's where their command is coming from. That is where the problem is. Because even a president that really feels the Kenyan people, even for purposes of PR, Fred, purposes of PR, you say, yes, this guy is my guy, this guy is follow my instructions, but he's not popular to the Kenyan people. Because these guys have failed. And I'm telling you, and I want the record to note today, this morning, that if we continue like this, it is not going to end well in this country. Because it looks like these people are not in charge. Sometimes I look at Kanja, the IG. He is so powerless. And you can see he really wants, he means well, he wants to do something. But the guy cannot. He has an independent, he heads an independent organ of the constitution, but he's still being controlled. I hear my brother speaking passionately that let us work with the institutions that are there. Go do a petition to remove these people. In which parliament? This parliament is being controlled by the executive. They can't think. They can't sit and make any independent decision. Everything has to be run through State House. All these PSs, all these ministers, our Minister for Treasury, he does not know what is happening. The Minister for Treasury is William Ruto. The minister, our Minister for Energy, does not understand, does not know. Our people, we have a minister for look at our statistics in terms of power in our area. We are doing badly. We are the least in terms of statistics. The problem that we have is the appointing authority. Because look at what has been happening.
So even if he changes this three gentlemen...
But what is his solution? What is his solution?
The solution is this.
Is the solution...
What the standard has said is a solution.
Yes.
God save us.
I think...
Where we are, let me tell you, this regime, we can only pray to the Lord and speak to the common people to help us.
All right.
Now, Edimoli...
Our time is up.
Yes, I know. But there are things you cannot let Brian get away with. When you say we are hopeless in this country, it means that we have no government. All right? Brian Weke drove his car from his home to here safely. Okay? If we are pathetic as he's putting it, I don't think, because I know Brian loves himself very well, he will not be living in this country. The way he's describing it.
Yeah, Makenya, where will I go?
Right.
It is your country, Brian.
Where will I go to?
And
that is the reason why I'm in the forefront fighting.
The front page of the Standard, the headline today says, God save Kenya. It is just a representation of how green the picture looks if at all we continue with this same trajectory, playing around with our security. And those people charged with protecting lives and property failing, intentionally failing to do their work. Is a solution removing the three gentlemen on the front page of the Standard from the positions they occupy? CS Interior, PS Interior, IG of Police.
Failed.
Thank you so much, Harrison Kinyanjui, Advocate of the High Court, Joe Mutambo, former MP Mwingi Central, and Brian Weke, political commentator, our panelists on TV47 Breakfast this morning, State of the Nation. Thank you so much for your time. God save us. I'll see you later on the show.
Thank you.